Welcome to Vegas Circle Podcast with your hosts, Paki and Chris. We are people who are passionate about business, success, and culture, and this is our platform to showcase the people in our city who make it happen. On today's podcast, we're going to delve into a CEO's insight into indie music and record label building and music engineering. We're welcoming back to the circle the CEO of Straight Lace Entertainment. We have international GT. We also have his close mentor, multi-Grammy award-winning mixing engineer, Mr. James Bonzai Caruso. So welcome to the circle, fellas. Great to have you back, man.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you in the circle, man. So,
thanks,
man, first we got to start off. Congratulations on the new release, man. The new project, man, is going crazy right now. Night of the Wind.
Yes, thank you guys. You were at the listening party.
I sure was, man. So I'm excited to see it at fruition.
Yeah. Happy for the Night of the Wind. It came out November 3rd.
Yeah.
And it's on all streaming platforms. So, everyone check it out.
Yeah. How does that feel, man? All that damn hard work, man, because you were probably, at least 2 years putting it, probably longer than that, right?
No.
Okay.
It was probably like a year and a half, 2 years.
Okay.
Because I kept, changing things and, mixing it and taking songs off and putting songs back. I was just undecided where I wanted to go with it. But once I got it, down, it was ready. It just went right by. Yep. But it was interesting because leading up to the album, I put it out, we were ready for it to come out, and I was just sad, maybe I needed to do something else. It's always that, maybe it was something else I needed to do.
That's the perfectionist.
Yeah, but once it was out and the people loved it, I'm like, all right.
Yeah. No, it's fire, man. And I'm not just saying that because you hear it, man. It's straight up fire. Who decides what's on the album? When you put everything together, because you got a great project, but who decides what song and says, okay, this is it? This is the story I want to go.
It's me.
It is you. Okay.
Yeah, and it was tough this time around. That's why I brought my dad here today.
Okay.
He usually A&Rs my albums because I'll do everything and send it to him and let him listen to it.
Okay.
But he had a stroke 2 years ago, so he had to learn to talk, walk, everything again.
Man. Wow.
So this particular album was me.
Actually, okay.
And so Courtney came around, so then she would just sit in the studio to at least listen. Because usually I would send everything to my dad and just have him tell me, oh, yeah, this is good. Nah, don't say that.
Okay.
And then once he had the stroke, it was all right, I got to do this. Yeah. So that kind of made the album take longer than normal because it was I stopped for a while. Then I came down here and was with him. Then it was he still always asked about music. It was that he remembered that
subconsciously.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Okay.
So him being at the listening party, he was.
That's what I met him. Yep.
Yeah, he was in the wheelchair then, so he still couldn't really walk. So you saw him here today walking around.
Grinding.
Seeing that progression, so it was kind of like making the album, seeing him come back to life again.
Powerful, man.
That's an exciting feeling. As you're kind of building that CD, right? You're kind of, coming around. Do you usually start with the title of the CD and then factor the songs around it, or do you put together a bunch of songs and put them on the album? What is that process like? Is the whole point trying to tell that story, or is it kind of just?
With this album, it was like that. I actually had this title during my last album when I did T.I.M.E. I already had the name Night of the Wind, so then I just started building the songs around that title.
Oh, yeah, so that's kind of cool because it helps you tell that story. It's like a book, right? You put together that book title and then, line it out after that. That seems like a pretty
Because I was watching a lot of Kobe clips, because I was hurt, man, when Kobe died.
Oh, yeah.
That was my guy. I used to wear Kobe's when I played basketball in high school. So when he died, I was watching a lot of Kobe clips during this time. So even those skits in the album, it's Kobe. But it was me finding post-game interviews, so it wouldn't be stuff that the NBA could get me. So I would find stuff like that. So all those clips is Kobe talking through my album.
That's pretty cool.
Me?
Yeah, that's Kobe.
I never knew that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. So how did you guys connect, man? We got to bring Bonzai in here, man. So for our listeners that don't know, Bonzai is the real deal, man.
Legends of legends.
So, I just want to give a shout out to some of the engineering projects he did on Method Man and Mary J. Blige, All I Need, right? Mariah Carey's Heartbreak, just to name a few. Welcome to Jamrock with Damian Marley. Notorious B.I.G. Ready to Die. So we in the presence of a legend. I know this is your mentor too. So how did you guys actually connect and build this friendship and mentorship?
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been about 12 years now.
Okay.
Here. And I moved out here from New York City, and someone was telling me about Glenn's talents, and he was making beats and producing stuff at the time, and up and coming guy. And so we linked up, and he would come to the studio and sit in on my sessions, and I knew he had the ear for it because I was listening to his tracks, and they were bad. They were really awesome. Yeah. And so then Yeah, and he would even come out to my sessions in Miami a couple of times at Inner Circle's place at Circle House.
Okay.
And then he went on to Full Sail to get a degree there, and just been blowing up since then. So
That's
really
excellent.
proud
That's
of
a
him.
long career, man.
Yeah.
You kind of went through, a lot of different avenues, and a lot of different players, and in the industry. What kind of that, evolution been like for you? Kind of starting at the beginning. Obviously your career, I think earlier you mentioned, was around 40 years or so. So how has it kind of seen that evolution go over the
early 80s when I started in New York? Yeah, just especially on the technology side with the advent of digital audio, the transition from analog to digital in the mid 90s was really an interesting time for music and music production and sound of songs and stuff. And so it's been an interesting ride.
Yeah. What do you guys see what's happening with streaming, right? Like we talked about before, and I know you probably saw it. Snoop talking about doing 1 billion streams on Spotify and only making about $45,000. How do you guys feel about it? What's the creative way to?
He didn't give context to that.
Okay, I knew you were gonna educate me. This is why I'm so happy to ask you this. So what does that mean?
I mean,
okay,
he could have been a part of a song that made billions of streams, but what was his percentage?
Okay.
Yeah.
And if he was a feature on the song, he may have only gotten 5% of that song. So then that would equate to 45,000. But if you own more of the song, you get 1 billion streams, you're making millions.
Right.
I'm glad. See, I knew this is what I wanted to understand.
Can't they just pay you for the feature, right? So say it's like, I want you on my song for $45,000, regardless of how it performs.
Yeah,
So it all depends on what his paperwork was.
I read that. I thought that was a little off. Like 1 billion streams.
So what was the point of saying it? Was it just because he was saying this?
He's been like talking about like the streaming process and how they need to change streaming numbers. So I think it was just another interview of him talking about it. So it's like, and this year ends, like streaming numbers have come in. So I think it was just a talking point to say, oh, I only got 45,000, but if you're only getting 2% or 5%,
then that's
of
what
course.
you're gonna get.
And it's still 45,000 to only do a feature. It's not like you had to promote it. You didn't have to pay for marketing and all of that. So you still made 45,000 to do something that probably took you 30 minutes.
Yeah. And what's your kind of thoughts on streaming? Because in one instance, right, for your big name players, it is kind of worse because you can go sell 1 million CDs and make a lot more. But for the indie artist that's trying to come up, it's actually better because you get bigger exposure without having to sign to those labels and do things like that.
And you don't necessarily have to sell that much.
Yeah. So kind of what's your thought on that process? Is it something that you're proponents of? Do you think that it's good for the industry or something that is not necessarily great?
Yeah, I think it's good, but there's so many different platforms for you to go viral, whether it's TikTok, whether you have a dance to go with it. There's so many avenues for your music to get noticed and to blow up in terms of, numbers and then keep that momentum going,
It's interesting you say TikTok, right? That we were planning on doing dances for an actual social media platform is crazy to me, but that's literally what they're doing to drive traffic, or you're making it for a specific game or a movie or anything like that. But I wanted to backtrack just a little bit about Spotify, right? So, or Apple, or whatever. Can you kind of share with our listeners what that really looks like? So it's the paperwork, right? So you're an independent artist, right? Like yourself or Nipsey or let's say Young Dolph, right? How does that work? Are they licensing their song to Spotify to play, or how does that really work?
Yeah, because that's just a DSP is like Spotify and Tidal and Apple Music. So you basically, they're distributing your music out, but really TuneCore, Vidya, whatever platform that you choose to upload your music, they send the music to the DSPs, which is Spotify, Apple, and all of that.
Got it.
So you set up all of that in like splits. You'll have like split sheets. So like on the song Bless Up on my project, Bonzai was a part of that, DeMarco and my guy Smitty. So you have to input the splits on your like on TuneCore or whatever you use first, and then they upload the music. So then that platform is handling like the business side.
That makes sense. So it's just all about the logistics of how it's set up. Okay.
And it's like automatic, like it just kind of distributes everything.
On TuneCore, you can put them in and like, because like that particular song, it was like 25, 25, 25. So, and it pays us individually.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So we don't even have to deal with any of that. It's set up. And it's like 6 ways to be paid. It's different ways to be paid because you have Sound Exchange, you have your PRO, which is BMI or ASCAP.
Okay.
You have BDS spins, which is media based when your song's on the radio. So it's like so many different avenues of ways you have to register your music so you really can be paid.
Got it.
Okay.
And so the record labels, a lot of times, the reason that they make $51 million a day and stuff like that is they have all those registrations on all of those thousands of songs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Got it. And they got the research. They got to be able to make sure and all the whole setup. So, how does it work with you being? You won 6 Grammys, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Okay. Nominated for 11.
Yes.
Can you share some of the Grammys that you actually won?
3 with Stephen Marley, Mind Control,
Oh,
and
wow. Okay.
Revelation,
Okay.
Part 1 and Part 2. Damian Marley, Welcome
wow.
to Jamrock, and Stony Hill from 2 years ago.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Those mostly all through the Marleys. Their records.
That's powerful, man.
Yeah.
How do you connect? Like, how do you get in those circles to be able to be part of that particular project? Like, how does that work? Is it somebody you knew from back in the day, or how did they bring you in?
Well, with those guys specifically, I had done this record in 1995 with this girl, Diana King, called Shy Guy.
Okay.
It was ended up in a movie, Bad Boys, with Will Smith.
Oh, okay,
Remember that
okay.
movie?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
so-
I think they're working on another one right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Are they?
Yeah, I think like a Bad Boys
the
4.
third
so,
one, I
yeah.
guess, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So it was called Shy Guy with Diana King, and that
Okay.
record came out, and that's when they heard it, and they loved the way the record sounded. So
Okay.
that's when I got the call from them right after that record came out, and
Okay.
we started a relationship of working together since, and
Okay.
it continues to this day.
That's powerful. So you still get the streams no matter how it continues to keep rolling. That goes into you guys because of the break, how you were breaking everything down, right? Is that how it works with being Grammy nominated and being part of an actual recording or
It
mixing?
really depends on what capacity I'm involved as an engineer. If I'm producing or writers, if you're a part writer and you own part of that publishing, then you're in on those splits. Then you receive those royalties. But a lot of times, like it's work for hire, right? So you get your fee. You get paid to be on the record, whether you're producing, playing on it. You get your fee, and then that's it. You know, you're not entitled to writers' royalties.
Got it.
So it really depends on what role you play.
Got it.
Is that what they try to do? Do they try to always pay the fee so they don't have to do that royalties forever? Is that kind of the norm, or is it norm to do the royalty part?
It really depends on, the person's input and why you're at the table being part of this record. You wrote part of it, you wrote some of the chorus or the verses or some of the lyrics or the beat, for instance, and they'll, so you rightfully own a part of it.
Got
but
it.
if you're just coming in to touch up something, or it really depends on the role you're playing and what you're hired for.
Got it. How do you guys feel like, because you guys are in a lot of rooms, right, with helping people produce, like being a critic too, right? Because you get very sensitive about your music. Like, are you able to tell them, like, look, this sucks, like you need to go back to the drawing board, or is it more of like, hey, I got a job to do and I want to just get it done and get it out? Is there a mix of
I try
of
to
both?
be honest.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, yeah.
Because it's hard to sit there and just
Say
let
with
them
your
do
art.
it wrong.
Okay.
But I'll do it in a joking way. I'm not like rude in there. Like I'll do it and make them laugh about it, and make their fellas and whoever's in the room, like they all be in there laughing. So I do it in that way to like lighten the mood, to tell them, okay, maybe we could hit this a little better.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Just try to stay positive.
Yeah.
Keep the light up, keep the energy up.
Inspire them. Try to get the best performance you can out of them. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you guys seeing now, Mac? What are you guys excited most about the music industry now and what everything that's happening? Because it's changing so fast, man. What's exciting for you guys now?
Geez, that's a hard one to answer because it's that we don't really know. It's that unknown territory, so to speak, and it is exciting, and it's something with it's so much going on with the way things become viral and the way things do blow up. Whether it's through a film or through an advertisement or through just word of mouth or because you were on somebody's record as a feature and then you blow up with your own release later afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm excited for R&B.
Okay.
R&B is making a comeback. Like this year, I felt like I only recorded maybe like 3 or 4 rappers. Like I recorded Benny the Butcher.
Shout out to Benny. Yeah.
I did a session with Nelly, but it wasn't like a lot of rappers. I did tons of sessions with R&B artists this year, so that was interesting. Especially being in Atlanta, I would just. Yeah. But I feel like because all like the court cases and everyone being arrested, it's like the rap slowed down in Atlanta. It's like not how it was years ago out there, where it's like constant. I feel like the R&B artists are starting to make their way back around.
When you mentioned that, I actually just read an article about that. They were saying the rap industry is kind of like taking a stall out. There really hasn't been a lot of new people. It's kind of older people that have been in the industry for a while that are starting to just not really putting out a lot of music because they're already well off.
Because I don't want to say the wrong thing, but the powers that be have made it that way.
Gotcha.
I don't disagree with you. They
set it up for us to fail now. It's not. conducive for us to keep it going. Like all the power players, because this is the thing, the major labels, they care about the master recording, but the subsidiary labels, like all the OG labels back in the day, they made stars. They made those albums, and then they sold those masters to the major labels, and then they went out there and sold the record. Now you cut those labels, those guys out, and now they're just directly to the label. Now you have a bunch of people that's like, well, we don't know what to do creatively. We handle the business. So when you cut those guys out to make more money, but then you're making weaker stars because you're cutting the people that really develop the talent and make the albums. You're cutting those guys out.
Yeah. That makes sense.
That sucks to me.
Yeah, that's rough.
That really sucks to me.
Because my thing is, if you look at the top 20 artists that sell the most records from any genre, Adele, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Drake, when have you seen them making TikTok videos? When have you seen them facing the camera on Instagram? When have you seen them on the radio rapping and singing and tap dancing? You haven't. But they tell all the other tier of artists, you need to rap on the radio. Black Thought went on, what was it, Sway, and rapped for like 10 minutes. And Jimmy Fallon made him a book when he came back to the show of like how long the rap.
100% right. Yeah.
And his album came out and he went triple styrofoam.
That's crazy to me.
So rapping on the radio, who does it benefit?
The radio.
The radio. But they could play your song and give you a BDS spin that'll affect your bottom line. But they'll have you come rap a verse on there for what?
Yeah.
But they didn't make Taylor Swift or Billie Eilish come on there and sing or rap. They didn't make Drake do it, but they're selling Diamond and all of these records and making billions of dollars on tour, and they're not doing the song and dance. So why are you telling the rap genre you got to go do that?
Yeah, that is.
So that, I'm glad you brought that up. So like somebody like a La Russell, right? You know him. Oakland,
Oh yeah, definitely.
Direct to consumer concept, killing it, right? Doing I think he's building what does he do? Concepts in his backyard or whatever, right?
Yep.
Is that the way to go then? If you're an independent artist, is this direct to consumer? And
Hit Boy and his dad just did that with the new project.
Yeah.
His dad just came home from prison. They did the project. You can only buy it from them or get it on JPay. JPay is the tablets in prison.
Get out of here. Okay.
I remember doing sessions with Fetty Wap.
Hit Boy's one did with Nas. Nas.
Yep. So he just did the project with his dad. It's out now, but you can only buy it directly.
I didn't even know it was out. Okay.
Yeah, you can only get it from them directly, like out the trunk, or you got to get it on JPay because his dad was in prison all those years. So he paid it where the guys in prison can get it, or you buy it from them.
But how would you know that? I didn't know that he was doing that.
Well, you got to be tapped in because it's one of them things. When Nipsey was selling his album for $1,000, everybody wasn't listening to Nipsey back then. But the ones that were tapped in,
marketing play though.
He made $100,000 off the people that were tapped in. So that's how they're looking at that approach. Like, okay, we build our true core fan base that's going to believe in us regardless if we're on Spotify or any of that, and we'll just cater to them.
Okay.
That's, I think, the future of music because the way the labels are moving, it's like, do I want to get taken advantage of to get this small amount, or do I want my set of fans that every time I drop, I know I'm going to make $100,000, $500,000, $1 million. If you have your set fan base, because you think if you get 10,000 dedicated fans spending $100 with you.
Yeah, that's a lot better than trying to.
You're betting on yourself.
Yep.
You're betting on yourself. And I noticed that was what Ryan Leslie did that years ago, right? Took all his music off all the platforms and went direct to consumer. And I think he
with
he
like
probably
the
did Superphone concept, and he's a big tech guy, and that's interesting you would say that. So how do you guys feel about like truth, right? Speaking truth in your music, like obviously Fat Joe came out, said he was lied about 95% of his raps, man. How do you feel about, because you're a truthful guy and you're speaking about truthful things.
Well, they're saying that because they're trying to avoid RICOs, because the stuff that they talked about in their music could get you that. So they like, oh, I'm getting away from that. They're using lyrics now. So I think it's more of that than like, it's more of that than like, oh, I'm lying. People scared of Fat Joe. Like, come on.
So Fat Joe ain't playing no games.
No, so it's like, oh, I was lying, guys. Leave me alone. It's all good.
Yeah.
Smart guy.
I get it. Everybody definitely get Ricos, but that's hilarious. I wasn't even thinking about that at all. So
yeah, kind of, to shift the gear a little bit. You guys both, just graduated from Full Sail. Moving into your engineering degree. You've been in the industry for a long time, and we talked about the change of the industry a little bit. And one I think that we all know is impactful, specific to audio, is like the artificial intelligence. Right. This is something now you can get digitally remastered anything in 2 minutes. Right. It's whereas before you'd have to get a professional engineer to do those things. How have you seen that impact? you guys, or how are you utilizing that in your future? How do you anticipate that helping you, or is it going to be a detriment?
Yeah, that's a good question, because it really, there's so many aspects to it, because didn't someone just release a Drake record? It's not really Drake. And
Yeah.
I think there's an Eminem.
And he just did an interview with a sheet on with sunglasses.
Oh, he actually did the interview?
Yeah, he just did an interview with Ray Daniels on this podcast. He has a white sheet on and sunglasses. And he's on there talking like, I still wrote it, but it's Drake's voice. Like,
and the technical.
That was probably Chris. That was Chris on there, man.
I wish I had that.
That was hilarious. Yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't know that about that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
The technical aspect of it, with plugins and mastering, the AI, you can have AI, get your sound up to par where you wouldn't be able to do it as a beginner.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
So it's a tool, but it's going to be interesting to see how it, how it influences everything.
Yeah.
AI doesn't have a soul. It doesn't have developed ears. Think about it. He's been doing this 41 years. I'm not even 40 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He's been developing his ears for 40 years.
That muscle memory is crazy.
So, and the frequencies that we can hear, because we're constantly listening to the same thing over and over again, that AI is just going to give you one blanketed sound. Like, this is it. This is rap. This is country sound. Whereas we're going in each individual thing with our spirit and ideas, and we're doing that to those songs. The delay effect that he does on Welcome to Jamrock and on those records, AI can't do that. That's the Bonzai. Yeah. Like I always tell him, that ain't a delay, that's the Bonzai.
That's what's up.
So he created that, so AI can't do that.
That's
so
true.
How do you educate the next round of artists, right? That if I'm coming up now and I have no money and I can't afford an engineer, I'm gonna go to AI, right? I'm gonna get that cheap amount. But then that's my education on engineering. And how do you get those people at the beginning to really understand the Bonzai effect, right? And how that is important.
That's up to the individual to want to learn that skill, to be able to do it themselves instead of rely on software or AI to do it. To really know how to do it themselves and why it's important and how it affects songs, and how it's all energy. So where does the song need a lift, and where it's like a good DJ knows when to keep everything rocking and knows when to calm it down. So everyone just read your audience, so to speak, right?
So you guys do a great job of explaining it. You can tell your passion.
This is exactly why I wanted to have him on. I just want to transition a little bit, because Andre 3000. What was the reason for this flute album, right? Because he wasn't making no money on. I mean, he was making a ridiculous amount of money with Outkast.
Yeah, because Love Below is the highest selling rap album of all time.
So why would you do another?
Speak about Love Below. I don't want to leave big out.
I get it. But why would you do that, right? Like, is it a way to kind of flip it a little bit? Because I don't understand the business play of that.
I mean, that's where his creativity is right now. Like, he just has to get that out.
Yeah.
Eventually, he may rap, because Nas put out an album at 50.
Fair enough.
He did say he wanted to do another album with Outkast.
Yeah, so I'm like, he had to get that out of his system to then transition back.
Yeah.
Because I've been listening to Love Below a lot lately, like the last 2 weeks. And it's crazy. My son is 3. He loves that album. He's like, put on that 3000.
That's what's up.
And he loves the album, and it's like jazz and R&B, but that album's fantastic.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I think it's probably hard to do something again after such a masterpiece. It's like, where do you go after doing something that great? Because think it came out, what, 03?
Easily. Probably 02, 03.
Yeah. In 2023, I'm sitting there like, oh my God.
And it could rock right now.
Right now. Like, oh my God, do you hear what he's doing? Like, so it just took a long time for people to catch up. And I mean, it's getting the rewards. It won Album of the Year. And it's only been 2, hip hop albums, Lauryn Hill and that album, to win Album of the Year at the Grammys.
Yeah.
And it's the highest selling album. So they're getting the accolades, but I think it's just hard to follow up something that great.
That's something that's special. Are you guys happy with the music? Because I know you do a wide range of music. Are you happy with where we're at in the industry and where it's going? Is that something that you are happy with? Or are you kind of disappointed with some of the directions because of obviously the big party? I think it's about so with the conglomerates, right, that can kind of bully the system. But
I mean, overall, I'm happy with it, but it is a little concerning and disappointing in some areas and some genres. But I still keep my ear to the street with up and coming new creative. These young kids coming up with great ideas and just putting out and using their influences from when they from today or when they grew up, and the hybrids they're coming up with, right, with beats and lyrics and melody.
Yeah.
You know, so I remain optimistic. You know,
that's what's up. Yeah. How about you, man?
I mean, I feel the same way. I think just how sports teams need veterans, I feel like artists need veterans.
Yeah.
He's my veteran.
Yeah.
So I'm more in line with the old school because I have true mentors.
Yeah.
Whereas they're out there freelancing in the Wild West is good ideas, but if you had a veteran that could say, oh man, if you could do it like this, keep doing your thing, but if you can refine it like this, it could be over the top. That's what everyone had. All the greats had that person in the studio. So I think we need those veterans and people with that ear to be able to help coach these kids, because still let them do what they're doing, but just try to give them the right direction to make sure it's all the way A1. That's lacking because everyone's looking at the bottom line and not caring about the actual art.
Yeah. It's like, it's almost like there's an isolation of like groups, right? You have the old school, the mid school, the new school, and it's like it's almost like they try to just pigeonhole everybody in these individual categories instead of bridging the gaps a little bit more. We talked about that with Eddie Mack on vinyl and new DJs, right? Like vinyl, according to new DJs, is very different, but there's no bridge.
Right, but it's so cyclical, and
exactly
what's old is new again, because these kids today are rediscovering the '90s, the upsurge of the '90s sound before it was the '80s, and it's it's very cyclical in that respect.
It's funny you say my kids are little. They listen to a lot of the old songs. I'm like, how do you even know it? Because of the TikToks and the YouTubes and everything. So
it's going to come back. So you can't isolate it so much because you have to be able to, because it's going to come back around and then you're going to be caught holding the bag on it. It's kind of odd.
For sure. With us being a business show, I want to start first with International GT, but what would you say to somebody? I know we asked you this before, but a lot has been happening. What would you tell to somebody that, wants to get in business for themselves now and has a dream? What would you share for them, a nugget, for them to maybe start with or whatever your perspective is on business?
Be an Indian before a chief. Really learn how to be a part of a team. That's why interning is so important.
Love that.
Like, if you know how to serve, you can definitely go out there and lead, but you got to know how to serve first. Like, so I feel like learning from a good mentor to know really how to do it before you just jump out there, because music is not a fast thing. Like, you're not going to get a lot. And because you don't always make a lot of money, you got to really love doing it. And how many people going to stay doing it if you, I'm doing it this year, next year, this year, and you're not making millions of dollars, are you going to stay down and keep working? So you got to really love it. Like, whatever you're going to do in life, it doesn't even have to be music. I would say love what you're doing. Really dive in and research what you're doing. This is your life. Before you just jump out the window and say, I want to be in the business, any business. Like, I would say really love what you're doing, really research it, and be a Indian before the chief.
Love that. Yeah.
It's a good
What
way
about
to
you,
put it.
Bonzai? Yep.
Exact same thing. It's a good way to put it, because if you're really passionate about something, what's in terms of music, for instance, or it could be cooking or painting, whatever. It's putting in the work. Really putting in the time to discover what it takes, and it takes time, and it could lead you, like for instance with music, you want to be a producer, right? And studying production skills, it could lead you down a different path, or you're a guitar player or a drummer, and you study your craft, but it could lead you, that path could lead you in a slightly different area. So it's like Glenn said, put in the time, be passionate about it. That's what it takes.
No, I love that, man. I was just listening to Michael Rubin talking a little bit about that too. He was talking about work-life balance, and he was like, basically screw the work-life balance, because especially when you're doing music, you got to be so focused and locked in, especially when you're trying to put a project out. Unfortunately, the work-life balance is put to the side. So I love that with your analogy. We always ask everybody about restaurants, man. What's your favorite restaurant in Vegas now that you give us a gym?
I mean, I haven't been here in over a year. So But watching your guys' page, I want to go to Golden Steer. I've never been there.
Shout out to Amanda. Check out a Golden Steer.
I need to go there.
Check out Amanda, man. She's great lady, man. Great business over there. They've been there for like almost 70 years. I think 60-some years.
I've seen that place my whole life being from Vegas. I never was like, let's go there. But seeing them on your show and then going on their page, I'm like, we've been missing out.
If you're not following them, follow them. They make you hungry
every time.
We've had so many people hit us like, okay, we can't get a reservation. Can you hit hit Amanda directly.
Man.
So that's awesome, man. What about you now that you've been living here for a while? So what restaurant we could recommend?
It really depends on what type of food. Whether
Okay.
I'm Italian. I love Italian food.
Okay, love Italian food
Right
also.
now, I'm feeling prosciutto. It's over
Prosciutto,
on
okay.
it's on Eastern and like Pebble.
Okay.
On Henderson.
Okay.
Love that kitchen. Daniela is the chef there. It's great.
Okay, I haven't heard of that before, so I'm checking it out. Yeah.
Love Japanese food. So
Okay.
sushi. There's a little place not far from here.
Okay.
In the neighborhood here called Soho Japanese.
Okay.
They're great quality.
Awesome.
So it really depends on
Yeah.
Thai food. There's a Thai place in Henderson too called Pink Cow, I think it's called. Pink
I
Cow.
think I don't
On
know.
E-
Oh, Pink Cow. Yeah. Okay.
On Eastern there, they're
Okay.
great. So it really depends
Gives
on
them some
what
gems, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. I don't think anybody's mentioned those
No,
three.
no,
So
those
the
three.
Golden Steer, shout out to them, man. But we're gonna check out the three that you just mentioned. What else are you guys working on right now together? I know you guys got a new project or something you guys are working on, or that you could talk a little bit about.
Bless Up was actually a song that's a part of his rhythm series for his strand. So he has a Bonzai Caruso, Bonzai 14
Got
marijuana strand right now.
Oh,
so
nice.
that
And
was
that's
like,
what was on your. That's what's on your album.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't even put that together. Okay.
Yeah, so
so you
that's-
just said that now. Okay.
So that's his new strand. So it's
Okay.
in Oregon and California right now, and it's coming to Vegas.
okay.
Nice.
So in the spring, right?
Yeah, it'll be here in the spring.
Okay. So yeah, you're killing it then. Yeah. Get in the cannabis industry. So
Yes.
that's what you're in that space. Okay.
Yeah, so we're simultaneously releasing a rhythm series album. Glenn's on the very first one called Bless Up here.
Okay.
This just came out a couple weeks ago. So we've got a bunch of tracks we're just going to keep releasing for the rhythm series. That's part of the brand, the Bonzai Cannabis brand. So yeah, that's one of the projects. Another one is Tribal Seeds, the album I've been working on for about a year and a half now. Just about ready to drop that. It's about 17 songs on the album. Really excellent album. That'll be out in February, I believe. The Mortimer album is coming out soon. I've been working on that for about a year. That's a great record. That should be out in early spring or the next couple months. Samurai just dropped his album. I've worked on a bunch of tracks on that, which just came out. It's called Strength, I believe. Some great tracks on there. So yeah, some of the latest
busy.
stuff. Yeah,
hands involved in a lot of stuff, man.
Very blessed.
Yeah,
Very blessed.
that's awesome,
Yeah,
man. Well, I get it, man. Well, I appreciate you guys, man.
Oh,
Just
let
your
me shout
support
out Jay
with-
Brown too, because he gave me my first #1.
That's what's up.
The song "My Whole Heart." We #1 on Billboard 3 weeks in a row.
Congratulations, man.
So that was my first time ever going #1, because I've gotten gold and platinum plaques, but that was my first time #1 on Billboard. So shout out Jay Brown, "My Whole Heart," and that's like a classic Motown sounding song. So it's like he's a young guy doing R&B. So it's like to get a song like that, and I recorded and mixed it. So that's a good one. And it was with Carvin Higgins, and he's like a super legend, Philly legend writer. Like you look up his discography and it's like crazy. So I got to he actually came to Atlanta from Philly and brought his whole team. That was my first time actually seeing a real R&B record be made.
That's what's up.
Like they had producers in there playing. They had a vocal coach in there like holding down the button saying,
making sure
sing
they're
it
on
like
point.
this. They had the writer there. If, I don't like that line, they'll change it right there.
wow.
So it's like it was seeing a machine happen and I'm there just recording, but they're like taking my input. So it was one of those things where you can be a part of the input. So like all the like delays and reverbs and all the stuff going on, they just let me do my thing. They were like, "Oh, you a part of
trust you.
this." Because then I can like sing the key to them. So they get a kick out of that. They like, "Oh, you know the key? Like we're doing this long enough." So just being a part of like a real R&B. And Soraya's project came out. I did her whole project, Flutter. She's on Kingdom Business and was on Empire.
Okay.
I did her whole project. So it's dope. Like I've been doing albums with R&B artists, but doing like one-offs with rappers.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
That's excited to see
Congrats
that,
to you
man.
guys, man. That's
I
exciting.
didn't even think about when you said R&B because now Vegas is getting all these residencies back, right? Jodeci lined up.
Gotta
I
go
can't
to
remember.
that one.
Voice to Biz been here for a minute,
Yep.
and then I think I'm trying to remember.
Wu-Tang's coming.
Wu-Tang's coming. So it's exciting time to be. I love the music and I love seeing all these different projects, especially with what you've been able to do with Night of the Wind. So I mean, support them, man. It is great things, and I know more Grammys coming your way and Grammy coming your way. So can you shout out your social handles and everything that you?
Yeah, everybody follow me, International GT.
Yeah.
You know, it's International GT everywhere, and Straight Lace ENT. And I want to shout out Full Sail. You know, that's the alma mater now. Shout out Bonzai. Get the Bonzai 14. And Night of the Wind. Check out Night of the Wind.
Appreciate you, man. And Bonzai, I know we put your handle up too, but
at Bonzai Caruso on Instagram and on Facebook, James Bonzai Caruso and Bonzai Caruso. There's two of them. Those are the two main ones I have. And and LinkedIn as well.
Awesome, man. Well, we support you guys, man.
Yes, sir.
Definitely check them out. Check us out at thevegascircle.com and subscribe with us, man. So we appreciate your time, and thanks
Definitely.
for
Thank you for having
man.
us.
Thank you,
Thank you, man.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.